Welcome back to Free Beer Friday. This week we are going to be going over mash efficiency and why you want to know about it and how it all works. So we got this from one of your comments and we love your guys' comments. So please leave a comment below on any topic you want us to go over.
My friend claims he gets 90% efficiency. I only get 65. What am I doing wrong?
Absolutely nothing. And that's where I call it the pissing match of efficiency comes into play. And I hear it all the time of like, you know, I need this mash tun to be 95% efficiency. I need this, I need that, or this is what I get. And whenever I hear a brewer talking about their own efficiency over and over again, it's kind of related to some other things where you start to disqualify what they're saying in general. But first, let's talk about a super high efficiency, Vito, and why you and I don't want it.
Yeah, you could actually be too efficient. That's a real thing. You could over extract in the mash process, and you don't want to do that. So you're not shooting for 95% efficiency. Honestly, you want about 80 is about the highest I usually like to shoot for.
And really, I don't care about what your efficiency is. I would say it's more about your consistency of efficiency. And keep in mind, different gravity of beers might have different. If you're trying to do a huge barley wine, your efficiency is going to drop a bit. And if you're doing an English mild, your efficiency is going to go up. But the general concept is, I know my efficiency dead nuts for IPA and pale ale. Like those don't vary much. And that's what I brew a lot of is that gravity of beer. And same for most of my Pilsners too. I know where I'm going to be, and that's all I really care about. In between 65 and 80, I'd say is a sweet spot. And if you're, quote, only at 65, it's okay. It's one of these things where you can just add a little more grain. It's about as cheap as it gets to get you back up there, because if you want to make a bunch of hardware changes to get better, well, that's going to cost you a bit to do.
Yeah, that's a great point about the grain as well, because all grain has different, what they call extra. We talked about it in the episode before, that the certificate analysis will tell you the extract level. So most base malts about 70 to 80% extract. Some of the more, Munich will be lower than that. Chocolate malt, you might get 20% sugar extraction from. So, the amount you extract or your efficiency from that grain differs based on the grain.
Yeah, they all have their own potential extract.
Yes.
And that's what you want to pay attention to if you're doing recipe formulation.
Yep.
All right, so we have the potential efficiency of our grain and how much we get off of that. But now we need to talk about the mash efficiency, because I think that's where most people are talking about.
Yeah, so there's the mash efficiency, how much, we know we talked about grain, how much you get down to it. So you have things like your dead space, how you lauter, those things are all playing a role in your mash efficiency. So that's the first calculation we're talking about.
Yeah, and then like Vito said, everything plays a role in there. How coarse of a grind, how fine of a grind, what your pH is, how much dead space, are you using a pump to recirculate, are you letting it sit still, what temperature you're at, all those things play into it. And then also with it is how will you separate the sparging process. Same thing as part of the mash.
Versus fly versus all the different types of sparging.
Exposed time, pH of the sparge water, all of those things, how slow you run it through, how fast you run it through, what you extract out. But that's all we're talking about. And the same numbers apply. We're not looking for 100%, that'd be very bad. But we're looking for a consistent amount every single time, what you can count on as a brewer. And that's one of my favorite measurements is the pre-boil gravity, and it's that's what I consider my mash efficiency.
That's most software, that's the number you'd be putting in, is your pre-boil gravity to how much volume you've collected, and that'll tell you your mash efficiency, which is an important number to know. The next one we'll talk about, which is the brewhouse efficiency.
Brewhouse, and so in your brewhouse efficiency, that is your mash and your sparge, and then your boil, and that's how vigorous and how long, and the shape of the top of your boil kettle. And most of us as homebrewers have an open top. So that part's pretty much taken out of the equation. But what boil off volume are you getting? On a 5-gallon batch, I'm usually looking for about 1.5 gallons, 15% evaporation, sometimes 12 to 15. That's about what I think the sweet spot is. Those of you asking for what is a vigorous boil, that's about where I'm going to say is the sweet spot of a vigorous boil. But you have to do a few batches to kind of know where that is.
Yeah, and then also in that calculation, your dead space in your kettle, right? How much you're picking up, and then what you lose in transfer too. So that all equates into, so what volume I put into the fermenter and what is the sugar level of that liquid, and that's your brew house efficiency.
And that's key for you to understand your brew house efficiency, especially if you're ever gonna make your own recipes or even use ours and make adjustments based off of that. Oh, I lose a lot more than they do or whatnot. Or just know like it's okay if you come out a slightly different starting gravity, but you can count on it because that's the way I brew. That's my house flavor. That's my, all these things contribute to this efficiency.
Yeah, so like a good number for brew house efficiency, I mean, 65% for brewing a bag is generally what people are getting in the 60s for, a traditional 3-vessel with a nice false bottom. 75 at the commercial brewery I worked for, if I got 78, 75, that was about where I want it to be. So again, it's all about consistency, knowing how much grain you're gonna need to produce a gravity wort of whatever volume you're shooting for. And especially on the homebrew side, it's so much easier to add another pound of grain. Doesn't cost much, but knowing that is the, as they say in G.I. Joe, knowing is half the battle.
Got a G.I. Joe quote in there. This week's Kit of the Week is Barebottle's Torcido Mexican Lager.
Yeah, it's a delicious beer. Some friends of ours at Barebottle in San Francisco, they make amazing beer. This beer is amazing. It's won a GABF medal, and it was with Viking Malt, so it's a just delicious one. We love it. We think you'll love making it.
So to enter, go to morebeer.com/freebeerfriday and enter the weekly giveaway. So don't forget to enter the monthly giveaway. It's a year's worth of grain from Viking Malt. To enter, go to morebeer.com/freebeerfriday and enter that monthly giveaway. Thanks for watching. See you next Friday. Cheers.